I'm going to be totally honest here. My weight fluctuates. I've been struggling with my weight most of my whole life. I very self-conscious about it. And I constantly, more than once a day, I have to talk myself off of that I'm fat. I struggle with it a lot. And so I have to reframe that and James gave me the most beautiful words for it the other day, that I'm a regular woman. I am a normal person, and my life is so full, and the least interesting thing about me is my body, and how wonderful that there's so much more of me to love.
Hi, we're James and Cara, and this is Kerouacs Cruising.
We are two ordinary people exploring what it means to build a life that feels true, day by day, from one campfire to the next.
This is our adventure, and we're glad you're part of it.
Good morning, friends.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining. We're still in Idaho.
Yep,
In
baby.
Idaho.
No new grandbaby yet.
That's going to happen very, very quickly, so we'll keep you updated on that.
Yes.
But today we wanted to talk about our life, right, in the last 3 to 5 years.
We promised a few episodes ago that we kind of wanted to break down some of the stuff that we have learned over the years and some of the stuff that we keep reaffirming, essentially, because we'll get into it deeper, but basically, hearing it once isn't enough. So we kind of keep swimming around in the same information from different sources, from different voices, to help us really embody our new way of thinking, essentially. You think I'm saying that right? Does that feel right for you?
Yeah, we're trying to have our thoughts create our reality.
Yeah.
In a nutshell.
Yep.
That's what I see. And we're doing it by really, really being good with ourselves is part of it.
Yeah.
So
a couple of things that we'll talk about in this first. We'll do a few episodes because it is a lot of information and it's a lot to absorb and it's a lot to research and start digging in for yourself because you want to know it, trust it.
Oh, I did want to say this. So we're not doctors.
No.
We are not scientists or anything. This is stuff that we've been trying to embrace in our life.
Yep, and we're sharing with you our experience with it.
So then you can make your own decision and further your education or knowledge, whatever you want to call it, and, maybe
make different choices.
Yeah, make different choices or come up with, your own research and figure out what you think for yourself.
Yeah. Absolutely. 100%. And what Kerouacs Cruising is, at the heart of it, is us living these principles and ideas and mindset shifts in real time and sharing our journey with you. So that's it in a nutshell. So the biggest thing was, and I think was mind-blowing for both of us to learn, I think most all of us grew up with the thought that by a certain age, your brain is fully developed and who you are at that point is who you're going to be for the rest of your life. I think it's something like 26 or 28. We were told that.
Yeah, it all depends who you look, but 25 to 28.
Yeah.
After that, your brain is not...
Old dogs can't learn new tricks, kind of.
Yeah, that's all exactly.
Yeah. And recently, in I think it was the late 90s, and we'll put the links to the science in the show notes. We're not going to try to keep track of exactly where the science came from for the purpose of telling you these...
Sanity.
Yeah, that too.
We'll give you where we got the information and then you can...
It'll be in the show notes. You can click through and see. But I'm pretty sure it was in the late 90s they learned that the brain actually does change. There are certain aspects of the brain that, since they have not found, do change after a certain age, but much of the brain still does change, and it's much of the most important parts of the brain. So again, there's been science to prove it, but what it means for you is that old dogs can learn new tricks, and it's not as easy as it used to be. Like when you're a kid and you learn information, everybody knows that it's so much easier to learn a second language
and
when you're a kid.
To retain it for a long time.
But that's not to say that you can't learn a second language as an adult. And just like that. It's not like you can't learn a new lifestyle or a new way of life as an adult. You can. Everybody finds breaking or creating habits to be very difficult. You want to start a new habit or you want to stop an old one. And the best way that I can think of to describe it, it's something that I think is really tangible for most people. When you go for a hike, for example, a well-worn trail is very clear and open. Anybody can find the trail because many people have walked it, and there's nothing growing in the trail. You can see footprints. Maybe it's even rutted up a little bit. That's really common with the Grand Canyon. So it's kind of concaved, making it really clear and obvious where that needs to go. Same thing with rivers and lakes and all those sort of things. Water flows where it's easiest for it to flow, and it's going to keep flowing in the areas that it's easiest for it to flow and continue wearing it down. On the other hand, if a trail hasn't been used in a long time, it starts to grow in. Grasses will start to come in, the tree branches will start to overshadow it, and it becomes more and more difficult to pass through it. Or if you're bushwhacking a brand new trail, again, it's almost impossible. You have to take the time to prune and cut it back and continue to walk this trail over and over and over again to get it to open up. And that's kind of the way the neural pathways in our brain works. The more that you use a specific neural pathway, the easier it is for you to use that neural pathway. When you're trying to create a new neural pathway, you're literally forging a new path. And so it takes a long time to get that path to be as worn as some of your older paths that you've had for decades. Now, that's not to say that and that's something I beat myself up for a lot. When you start to forge a new neural pathway, essentially you're creating a new habit or a new way of thinking, and you catch yourself going back to your old ways, or it's been a week and you're like, oh, I haven't done this new thing that's so important to me to start in a week. I'm so mad at myself. Oh, what's the point? Why keep going? You have already started building that neural pathway. So to continue to pick up where you are at now is going to still continue to build up that neural pathway. You didn't lose your momentum. You didn't lose what you've already built. You just need to pick up where you left off and continue going. And one of the best ways to do that is to recognize that in yourself and recognize when you're beating yourself up, because much of the time, your mindset about a situation is the problem, not the situation itself. It's how you're looking at it, how you're beating yourself up for it. Being mad at yourself for not sticking to your new food routine, for example, is the problem, not the not sticking to the food routine. It's the beating yourself up for it. So to begin, and again, it takes a long, we're not even 100% there, and we just determined we've been working on it for at least 3 years, possibly more.
Well, I think some of the things we've been working on longer, like the
health,
food habits and stuff like that. But,
yes.
You know, it's, everybody knows that habits are hard to break and they're hard to form. When you forge a new pathway, I built a trail at my kid's house and cut down the brush and made the trail and whatever. Do that for 3 miles, and that's about how difficult it is for you to get a new habit. So think about it that way, you know. That trail takes a lot of work to develop the trail. So the pathway's that same. It's not going to be easy. And to break a habit, try to break a habit. Most of them, like smoking.
Yeah, smoking, for example. That's notorious for being a difficult habit to break because there's addictions tied into it. So there's other chemical reactions that go with it. But yeah, we struggle with it with food, with our diet. There's certain foods that we don't want to eat anymore.
We try to eat really clean all the time, but then it's like, if we're out and about or with other people, something good on the menu looks good. Yeah. I don't care what my diet is. Yeah. I'm going to order that and I'm going to eat that. But it's so difficult because should you do that, or, you know, that's one of those things.
Well, and I think that falls back again to the mindset about that topic is more impactful than the actual thing itself. So, and we'll talk about that here a little bit deeper, but the having a positive outlook, a positive disposition about what you're attacking, as opposed to being down on yourself, you're actually going to make it more difficult for, I mean, how often, I know with my ADHD, I know that when I get mad at myself for not getting up and being motivated to go do something, it is that much more difficult for me to get up and get motivated to go do something. And it just compounds. Like, I just get madder at myself. I get more frustrated with myself, more disappointed in myself. And it just snowballs into this. Now I'm totally paralyzed and can't do anything because I just feel like a worthless piece of poop, you know, like, but then when I'm like, oh, you know, that's my ADHD, or, you know, it's okay that I don't feel great today, I've had a busy week, or whatever it is, you know, when I'm better with myself, when I'm kinder to myself, when I treat myself like I would treat the people in my life that I love, I find that I have more motivation, that I can get more things done. I'm not trying to white knuckle my way through it, grind through it. I just get to it as soon as I feel up to doing it, and I feel up to doing it sooner when I haven't spent the last 3 hours beating myself up for not doing it 3 hours ago. So that's just, I think, a way that a lot of people can relate to. That mindset really does affect a lot. And it's hard when you get into those negative spirals to stay in that positive mindset. But that ties into not only neuroplasticity, but then epigenetics. So that same sort of thing, we were told growing up that your genes are your genes. They come from your family. They've been passed down to you. You're stuck with them. You're SOL. There are certain diet and lifestyle choices that you can make that can help prevent some issues or stop them from coming on sooner rather than later. But that your genes are written in stone. You're just stuck with what you got, and it's you know, random. You hope you get the good stuff from one parent and the bad, and not the bad stuff from the other parent, or whatever it is, you know. And what science is finding now, that we believe that wholeheartedly, and what we're finding now is that there are a lot more factors involved than just what your parents gave you. Yes, those are a piece of it, but they're like a fraction compared to all of the other things that are involved. So different things that are involved are your upbringing, which does come from your parents also. But I don't think a lot of people put enough weight into that, the environment that they were raised in, and how they were brought up to look at the world, engage with the world, and react changes how their genes express. There was a study done on mice. Very simply, again, we'll put the links in the show notes, but basically they were finding that mice who were more coddled, basically they were licked by their mother more, turned out to be calmer mice. Mice that were less coddled turned out to be more reactive mice. And then they switched the mice from their parents, a different litter, and they took the mice from the more reactive family, put them in the calmer family, took the calmer family of mice over to the reactive family of mice, and had them be raised that way. And the mother, the calmer mother, raised the more reactive offspring to be calmer, like her offspring typically are. So that environment, that has nothing to do with your hereditary, your bloodline. That has to do with the environment that you're raised in, switching on and off different gene expression. The environment that you actually live in, as far as pollution, as far as greenscapes, what you're engaging with or interacting with in your outside world, diet, exercise. So there's all these, the people that you interact with, the people that you surround yourself with, and then your thoughts and your feelings. Again, that's part of the environment. That's your inner environment. So thinking more positively about your body and empowering yourself can impact your genes in positive and empowering ways, and encourage it to switch on things that do healing versus things that do hurting. So to kind of take that just a little bit deeper. Now, epigenetics, real science, proven, that's where mainstream science is going now, as opposed to the old gene
You're
idea.
stuck with it.
Yeah, instead of, you're stuck with it, exactly.
You're born into it, you got.
But to kind of jump into things that are a little bit more fringe and a little bit more theory, not fully vested, not fully trusted by the mainstream science community, but scientific studies are being done in these areas.
And being peer-reviewed.
Peer-reviewed studies, exactly. Peer-reviewed studies, they're just not fully widely accepted, so they're not mainstream. And just like epigenetics and neuroplasticity was out there science 10, 20 years ago, now I think that they're just having a hard time catching traction because they're still new. There was one study done where scientists took a vacuum, essentially, and that's where you suck everything out and there's nothing there. But even when there's nothing there, there's no matter at all in a vacuum, there is still, hi babies, there are still photons. And photons, when you break it down to the basic science, so photons are particles of light. Now, light looks like it's a continuous beam, but it's more like a beach of sand, right? When you're far away from a sandy beach, it looks like it's just one continuous landmass, right? But then you get close up to the beach and you hold the sand in your hand and you see that it's made of hundreds of billions of gajillions of sand particles, right? That's what light is. And those particles are photons. So photons are what's left when you remove everything else. When you remove all of the particles of everything that is space and time, all that's left is photons. Now they took that box of nothing but photons and they put human DNA inside of it. And those photons rearranged themselves in such a way that followed the patterns of the DNA. And then they removed the DNA and those photons remain. Now, what this can point to, and this is where we're kind of drawing lines a little bit, and this is how we've understood it and what resonates with us, what feels good. Now, pretty much all living things have protons in them, including us. They are a byproduct of our cells doing their business. Photons, I keep saying protons. Photons are what comes out of that. Now, there are some scientists that believe that photons are what communicates between our cells, this light energy, essentially. Now, obviously, it's not enough to make us glow in the dark, you know. It's very, very faint, but all living things have these photons in them. And now, if photons rearrange themselves around DNA and react to DNA and act with DNA, there puts a lot of potential in there for how we as humans interact with the world and affect the world around us. And that's why we say things like your thoughts become things, because if our mindset can change our body chemistry, and again is proven in things like the placebo effect. Now that's something that I don't think a lot of people fully understand, because it's pretty incredible if you do understand it. So there is every single drug test that they do, every single pharmaceutical test that they do, they have to test it against a placebo. And it has to beat the numbers of the placebo by a certain margin in order to be considered effective. And the placebo effect can be as high as 75%. And so that the placebo is when you give somebody a sugar pill, but they think they're getting the real medicine and they heal anyways. There have been studies from botched surgeries, people being told that they're getting a real surgery, their leg is getting cut open and sewn back up as if they had had a surgery, but no surgery on their knees have been performed, and they go on to heal as though they had had the surgery. There have been remissions. It's common, like it's normal in science, it's accepted that people will receive treatment that isn't actually treatment, just as far as they're concerned, as far as their knowledge is, they have received treatment, and without actually having anything done to them or any chemicals put into their body manages to heal itself. So again, that's the mindset where you think that you are being healed, or you think that you had something done to you, and your body goes ahead and acts as though it had happened anyways. So that's where these where we keep digging into that the way you think and the way you talk to yourself and the way you think about your body and the way you think about yourself and the way you think about your world around you can affect really how your life is playing out and how your body is interacting with the world around you. Am I articulating that well? How is that sounding to you?
I think you did a great job. But I mean, I just think the bottom line is, I'll say it again, your thoughts equal your reality, and science has proven it.
Yes, absolutely.
And it's not, I'm not saying it's easy at all, because in my life, I have a lot of negative thoughts, so to try to have a lot of positive thoughts every single day, all day, takes a lot of energy.
It does.
So you really, but it definitely works, and you definitely will lead a more joyful, happy life if you can overcome it.
So,
and keep making the trail.
Yeah, yes, exactly.
I mean, through all of it. I mean, you know, I'm not going to break it down. Cara does a good job with the science part. But it's all the things, being happy with yourself, you know, changing your mindset is so difficult, but you can do it.
So there's one other fringe science that I want to talk about, and then I kind of want to talk about some ways to baby step your way into this, because it's a big pool. So we want to help you with the small, simple steps, essentially. So
small, simple steps.
So
I remember that.
So Dr. Emoto, I think he was out of Japan, did a study where he took samples of water, and they did all different kinds of things with these samples of water. Some of them they talked lovingly and kindly to. Some of them they prayed over. Some of them they cursed and hated and gave negative intentions to and wished death upon and whatnot. All different kinds of things. And then they froze those water samples and then studied the crystals. And the water crystals that had been spoken more positively to or had more positive intention around, you know, prayer or whatever it was, had created beautiful, coherent patterns, snowflake-like patterns, crystallized patterns. The water that they had spoken negatively to or gave negative intention towards had very incoherent and messy patterns to them, or not patterned at all.
Not organized.
Yeah, no organization. There you go. That's the proper word. Thank you. Now, when you consider that, again, the human body is 70% water, if we can have that kind of impact on something as simple as water, imagine what that is for our entire body. So I know it sounds hokey, and I know it sounds woo-woo and silly and hippy-dippy and all of that. And frankly, at this point, I'm embracing all of those words because it's proven so true. Now, science has shown that practices of gratitude make people feel more positive and optimistic about their life. A lot of people like to laugh at, you know, especially the people who like to call themselves realists, which I think is just a pessimist with a pretty bow tie on top. But pessimists and realists, you know, like to scoff at optimists, people who look at the glass as half full, you know, as not being realistic. But studies have shown that people who have a positive outlook on life and continue to look at situations as, how is this working out for me, as opposed to how much more terrible is it going to get, people who have that pushing forward mindset have a tendency to be happier in their lives. So when you look at that superficially without even touching in on those more fringe sciences that I just talked about with the DNA and the photons and the ice crystals, your thoughts clearly change how you relate to your world, the world around you, and how you feel about your world and the world around you. And ultimately, isn't that all we're really looking for, is to feel good and be happy in our life, whatever it is? And then from there, if you are more optimistic and you are more open to possibility, then possibilities are more likely to make an appearance in your life. So just on a very basic level, if you don't fully trust in the more fringe stuff, you would still be a happier person and probably more pleasant to the people in your life if you just kind of change. Nobody likes to be around a negative Nancy, period, end of the story. I mean, let's be real here. So if you're the kind of person who is always looking at how much worse can it get, are you really happy looking at the world that way? And so ask yourself that hard question. Now, for a few things that we kind of started doing at the very beginning, and we did it with each other, we did it individually, start a gratitude practice. And I know it sounds so corny, but it works. It really, really, really works. Before you get out of bed in the morning, think of 3 things that you are grateful for, that you already have in your life, even if it's...
And write those down.
I think writing them down helps, for sure.
A lot of people will read an affirmation, but if you write an affirmation down when you get up, and whatever it is you're going to be grateful for and have gratitude toward, write that down. It's going to stick longer.
I agree with that. I do think writing is the next level, but I think that if you're not going to take the time to write a pen and paper, to remember it. And this is something that you don't have to feel terrible about if you forget to do it, because you can still just think to yourself and sit in that moment and feel grateful for things. So even if it's just how comfortable your bed is, even if it's just that the sun came up today, even if it's just that you have the opportunity to drive to work, whatever it is, 3 things that you are grateful for. I like James said, I deeply encourage writing it down. Spend some time really thinking about those things and how grateful you are to have them, and how much more difficult your life would be without them. But I think it's more important to actually just take the practice, to take the moment mentally, than to stress yourself out about having to create another routine. You can, while you're making your coffee in the morning, think about 3 things that you're grateful for. I highly suggest doing it.
I do too. And the only thing I'll say about writing them down, a lot of people don't want to write down a journal because they don't want evidence that they wrote down something. You can just write it on a Post-it note and just throw it away. The point is, when you write it down, it sticks longer, so you think about it a little longer than when you're stirring your coffee, I think.
Yeah.
That's just something that I've learned.
Yeah.
But definitely practicing the practice, which is the most important thing. No matter how you do it, it's not incorrect.
Yeah.
There's no wrong
right
way to do any of these practices. Me and Cara don't practice all of them the same way. She's a big journalist, but I'm one of those people like, I ain't fucking putting something on paper. Someone's going to dig that back up someday and use it against me or something. So I write it down and I throw it away.
You're so paranoid. See that negative cycle he puts himself in while he's trying to talk to you about positivity? Yeah. That's the story of our life. I mean, that's it. We're doing this in real time, and we're not going to sit here on a pedestal and pretend that we're perfect, because I think that
it's hard practice, but it is rewarding when you see outcomes that are like, oh, that's all right. That's beautiful.
Yeah. So. And I think that the perception of perfection is what stirs people away from starting. So that's why we sit here and come to you guys every week with what's going on in our life, because we want you to have the confidence to get started. It doesn't have to be perfect. Whatever it is for you, it doesn't have to be perfect. You're learning as you go along, and that alone is perfect. The other practice that I wanted to recommend is find the things that you beat yourself up for the most. Like, what are you hardest on yourself on? And then flip that the other way. Like, one of my difficult things, I'm going to be totally honest here, my weight fluctuates. I've been struggling with my weight most of my whole life. I very self-conscious about it. And I constantly, more than once a day, I have to talk myself off of that I'm fat. I struggle with it a lot. And so I have to reframe that and James gave me the most beautiful words for it the other day, that I'm a regular woman. I am a normal person, and my life is so full, and the least interesting thing about me is my body. And how wonderful that there's so much more of me to love. And, you know, like, just flip it around. Like, take the negative out of it. Take the things that you've been taught to believe about yourself, or that you've allowed yourself to believe, and flip it on its head and write those new words down. And every time that you put it in your phone as a note, put it as a reminder. That's one of my favorite ways to change a mindset, is put it in as an alarm on your phone, or Google Notes. I don't know if iPhone has something similar. Google Notes has it's a little notepad that you can set it an alarm for it to show up at the same time every day. 1 o'clock every day. Tell you I'm beautiful. My body is the least interesting thing about me. How wonderful
Cara
it is.
has a lot of alarms going off. Trust me.
And it's the best way to help change your mindset. Something that you're struggling with the most right now, put it on your phone and make it pop up for you every day. And start.
It just reminds
exactly
the pathways in your brain.
And give yourself a second to look at it. Like, really just take a second and breathe. Don't just like swipe it away. Oh yeah, that's that thing again. Just take a second, like, make it something that you do. Like, even if you can't do it the second that it pops up, leave it in your notifications until you have 30 seconds to really just spend a moment feeling and appreciating that you left that note for yourself, and that you really want to embody this new belief about yourself. I think that those two things, a gratitude practice and take one simple step, changing one thing about how you think about yourself. And when that starts to not feel so sticky and icky, that one thing that you're trying to change, now pick a new one. And slowly, you'll start seeing that you're changing not only how you see yourself, but how you see the rest of the world. Because, and we'll get into this deeper, but the rest of the world is a mirror to how we feel on the inside. Most of the time when we put judgment on somebody else, it's something that we're actually afraid that other people are going to think about ourselves, or we're already thinking about ourselves. So what I have found in me working through my body shaming issues is I stopped thinking negative thoughts about other people and their body, because again, our bodies are the least interesting things about us. And there is so much more that we can do and see and appreciate about one another than just the shape of our bodies. So that's what I'm.
I like shapes of bodies.
You like body shapes? Bodies with shapes. So that's what I'm. Did you have anything else you wanted to add to the practices for this?
No.
bit?
The biggest thing is just trying to do the practices every day, and to break an old habit or start a new habit, it takes more time than they thought it did. And it's about just trying to do it every day.
Yeah, being consistent.
Trying to live the life of your dreams.
And be patient with yourself through it. You know, nobody expects a toddler to know how to walk the first time they try. They're going to fall multiple times. It's going to be a months-long process. Give yourself that same grace. And it's a lot easier for children to learn something new than it is for adults. So give yourself that same grace. You're learning how to walk in new shoes. You're learning how to walk with new legs. You're trying something on for the first time, and it's not going to be pretty and graceful at first, and that's okay. It's okay to try new things and not be great at it. The last thing I want to leave you guys with is, if you want a tangible resource, our favorite book on these topics specifically, to help you really start opening your mind and start to breathe in what possibility is really out there, is Limitless by Jim Kwik. We talked about it on our first season.
We did an episode on it. We actually did the audio book and then read the book.
Yes.
And Jim Kwik, everybody should read that book, Limitless.
Yeah, he really does a great job at helping you open up your mind and realize that it is changeable. And I think that is the foundation for everything moving forward, is you have to realize that you can learn new things, that you are moldable, and that you are in control of what you learn and how you mold yourself to be. You aren't stuck with who you have grown up to be up until this point for the rest of your life. And there, in my opinion, is nothing more empowering than that knowledge right there.
And everybody's living your dream is going to be so different for everybody.
Yeah.
But find what your dream is and then live it.
Yeah.
And that's how your thoughts create your reality.
All right,
I
you
have.
guys.
It's time to eat pizza.
So we're going to sprinkle these kind of episodes in the next couple of weeks in between all of the family stuff we have going on.
Because we're staying put for 2 months.
Yeah, we don't have anything super exciting going on for a little while. So we'll sprinkle all this stuff in. So we expect this to be a 4-part series. So stay tuned. We will keep linking them into one another as they come live.
And if you have questions.
Yeah, always reach out. Join at
Or anything.
CarewaxCruising.com.
Comments.
Yeah, we love to hear from you
comments.
guys.
So, only positive comments. All right.
You guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening.
Bye.
Bye.